John Locke, architect of liberal philosophy and political theory. Throughout history, a few individuals have profoundly influenced the political and intellectual foundations of our modern world. Among these towering figures is John Locke, an English philosopher whose writings reshaped the concepts of governance, individual rights, and the relationship between the state and the citizen. Born in an age of political turbulence and scientific discovery, Locke emerged as a critical thinker who challenged traditional authority and articulated principles that would echo through revolutions and constitutions centuries later. We shall delve into the life, works, and legacy of John Locke, a man rightly called the father of liberalism. John Locke was born on August 29, 1632, in the small village of Rington, Somerset, England, and raised in nearby Pensford. The England of his youth was deeply divided, engulfed in the throes of the English Civil War. His father, a lawyer and staunch parliamentarian, influenced young Locke with his commitment to constitutional governance over monarchical absolutism. Educated initially at Westminster School, Locke demonstrated an early aptitude for classical studies and logic. His academic promise led to a scholarship at Christ Church, Oxford, an institution that would shape his intellectual foundations and introduce him to a new world of scientific and philosophical inquiry. At Oxford, Locke found himself immersed in a curriculum still dominated by Aristotelian scholasticism. Yet he became increasingly disillusioned with traditional metaphysics. It was the emerging field of natural philosophy, what we now call science, that captivated his curiosity. Locke studied under physicians and philosophers influenced by the likes of Galileo and Descartes. He developed a close friendship with Robert Boyle, one of the founders of modern chemistry. These experiences led Locke to adopt an empirical method of understanding, believing that knowledge derives primarily from experience rather than innate ideas. This scientific spirit would inform his later political and psychological theories grounded in observation and reason. In 1666, Locke met Anthony Ashley Cooper, later the Earl of Shaftesbury, a powerful politician and one of the most influential patrons in Locke's life. Their meeting marked a turning point. Locke became his personal physician, secretary, and trusted advisor. Through Shaftesbury, Locke entered the political sphere, witnessing firsthand the mechanisms of government, the complexities of court intrigue, and the dangers of absolute power. This exposure refined his political philosophy and deepened his conviction that legitimate authority must be derived from the consent of the governed. As tensions rose between the monarchy and Parliament, Locke's beliefs increasingly positioned him at odds with royalist orthodoxy. Political instability culminated in Locke's self-imposed exile to the Netherlands in 1683 after the Rye House plot implicated his associates. Though never directly connected to the conspiracy, Locke feared persecution and fled to avoid arrest. In the relative safety and intellectual freedom of Holland, Locke produced some of his most influential works. It was during this period that he wrote the Two Treatises of Government, a seminal text that would forever alter the trajectory of political thought. In it, Locke argued against the divine right of kings and proposed a revolutionary idea that sovereignty originates with the people and rulers are merely trustees of their rights. His theories laid the philosophical foundation for constitutional democracy. In Two Treatises of Government, Locke articulates a powerful vision. All individuals are born with natural rights, life, liberty, and property. Government exists to safeguard these rights, and when it fails to do so, the people possess the right to withdraw their consent and establish new governance. This contractual view of political legitimacy was revolutionary. It stood in stark contrast to centuries of autocratic rule and religious justification for monarchy. Locke's emphasis on individual rights and popular sovereignty would not only inspire English constitutionalism, but profoundly influence the Enlightenment and later democratic revolutions. In 1688, Locke returned to England under the protection of William of Orange, who seized the English throne in what became known as the Glorious Revolution, a bloodless coup that enshrined constitutional monarchy and parliamentary supremacy. Locke's ideas were no longer radical, they were timely. He was now recognized as a leading intellectual whose principles supported the new order. His writings justified the revolution and provided a philosophical framework for the Bill of Rights of 1689. For Locke, this was a validation of decades of thought, exile, and persistence. Locke's influence extended beyond politics into psychology and epistemology. In an essay concerning human understanding, 1689, he explored the nature of knowledge itself. He famously rejected the notion of innate ideas, proposing instead that the mind at birth is a tabula rasa, a blank slate. According to Locke, all knowledge is derived from sensory experience and reflection. His ideas laid the groundwork for modern empiricism and profoundly influenced subsequent thinkers such as David Hume and Immanuel Kant. This commitment to experience, reason, and individual perception became central themes in Enlightenment thought. Locke also contributed to theories of education. In some thoughts concerning education, he emphasized the role of early childhood experiences in shaping character and virtue. He advocated for practical learning over rote memorization and championed the development of reason, moral discipline, and independent thinking. He believed education was not merely a path to knowledge, but a foundation for responsible citizenship in a free society. His educational philosophy continues to resonate in pedagogical theory today. The influence of Locke's political philosophy extended far beyond England. In the 18th century, his writings became essential reading for Enlightenment thinkers across Europe and America. Thomas Jefferson, a principal author of the U.S. Declaration of Independence, drew directly from Locke's assertions about natural rights and the right to resist tyranny. Similarly, the French revolutionaries invoked Locke's ideas to challenge monarchy and affirm the rights of man. Locke's vision had become global, laying intellectual foundations for modern constitutional democracies. John Locke passed away in 1704, but his legacy endures in every nation that cherishes freedom, rule of law, and human rights. His writings continue to influence constitutional law, philosophy, education, and political science. His insistence on reason, tolerance, and liberty remains a beacon in a world still grappling with questions of authority and justice. Locke did not merely observe his world, he reshaped it, and in doing so, he helped create ours. Ideas once shared can transcend centuries. John Locke's vision of a just society, built on consent, rights, and rational governance, remains one of the greatest intellectual legacies of the modern era. His life reminds us that philosophy is not abstract, it is lived. It shapes nations, empowers individuals, and inspires change. As we face new challenges in a rapidly evolving world, Locke's principles remain as relevant as ever. Let us continue to question, learn, and build societies that honor the dignity and freedom of all.